My name is Ann Marie Morse, and like many of you, I know someone who has been diagnosed with cancer. And I'd like to share a story about a young woman named Michelle. She was our firstborn, our only daughter, the first grandchild on both sides, had eyes that twinkled and a beautiful smile that drew you in. She was kind, caring, thoughtful, sincere, and put everyone else before herself and loved to help the little guy. She would give you the shirt off her back. She was a loyal friend and rarely got angry. She could read people, loved to shop, and had more clothes and shoes than anyone I know. Michelle loved her family and friends and was loved by everyone who met her. While in college, she found her niche, teaching, in which she was a natural. She was organized, focused, taught every student as if they were the only one in her classroom. She connected with the students and they with her. She wanted to work in an inner-city school where she felt she could make a difference in the lives of her students. Little did she know that she would make a difference not only in their lives, but in the lives of so many others. Friday, December 12, 2003 began like any other day. I went to school and vividly recall telling my students that in 1 week both my children would be home from college and that I could hardly wait. Around 10 that morning, I received a call from Michelle asking me to call the doctor as she was experiencing horrific abdominal pain and was having difficulty walking. Luckily, the doctor could see her at 3 that afternoon. By 4, she called to say that she was in the doctor's office and we needed to take her to the hospital as she needed emergency surgery for a twisted ovary. What was supposed to be a 1.5-hour surgery turned into 3. After the surgery, the doctor sat us down and my body went into shock as he told us that Michelle had advanced colon cancer. I began to shake all over. I could barely speak and became physically ill. How were we going to tell Michelle? There weren't any instructions for this. How were we going to tell her brother Michael, who at the time was a freshman at the University of Maine, and he was getting ready to begin his finals? How about my parents, my father-in-law, our family and friends? I couldn't believe our world was crashing down, something I hadn't planned for. At the time of her surgery, Michelle was a full-time student at Plymouth State University in Plymouth, New Hampshire, getting ready to begin her finals and head home for her 6-week winter break. Her doctors advised her to take a leave of absence, or at the very least, cut back on her course load, as her chemotherapy regimen would be very aggressive. I contacted my insurance carrier in the New Hampshire Insurance Department and was told that it didn't matter that her illness would keep her out of school or require her to cut back on her course load. If she wasn't a full-time student, she was not able to continue coverage under the family plan. End of discussion. In fact, I was told, if I didn't like it, that I'd have to change a law, and that'd take a long time. And my response was, I had the time. I still thought I got incorrect information and contacted my local Social Security office, sent letters to my state representatives and senators, and the New Hampshire delegation in Washington, the former governor, as well as many of the presidential candidates, and found the information I was given was true. So I took to heart what the employee at the insurance department said, and I knew I had to change a law. And my motto is, never mess with a mom who's passionate about a cause. Daunting as it was, a most rewarding journey had begun. A road for Michelle to begin treatment for her cancer and a road to change the law. Even if I could change the law, it would not help Michelle. Therefore, she made the choice to remain a full-time student to keep her insurance coverage. How could anyone expect her to be a full-time student and a full-time patient? Michelle began an aggressive regimen of chemotherapy that was given every other week and lasted 48 hours. This also required her to wear a pump on her hip. She did this from January of 2004 until October 2004, all while she continued as a full-time student, earning a GPA of 3.5 or better. However, In November of 2004, 3 short weeks after she completed her treatment, she began to complain of lower back pain, and many tests were run. Sadly, we learned that the cancer had spread to both lungs. We were told that she had many nodules in both lungs. We were stunned and devastated and quickly learned that cancer has a way of hiding and can rear its ugly head at any time. The following month, she began her second sessions of 12 rounds of chemo as she remained a full-time student. Stage 4 colon cancer is advanced, and we were painfully aware that we would most likely outlive our daughter. We were living every parent's worst nightmare. While Michelle was a full-time student and a full-time patient, our family, together with the New Hampshire legislature and the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, the media, and staff and students from Plymouth State University took the position of why not, and we began to change the law. It wasn't an easy task. We had to convince many state lawmakers that this was not a handout, the cost of insurance would not go up, or that it was an insurance mandate. These students were already on their family plan. With the assistance of many people who had a can-do attitude, we planned our strategy. However, we had to wait until January of 2005 to have a hearing, 13 months after Michelle's diagnosis. Fortunately, a New Hampshire American Cancer Society employee, Peter Ames, who is the Vice President of Health Initiatives in the Bedford, New Hampshire office, heard my testimony. He offered tips, helped set up meetings with additional legislators, pointed out who was who in the legislature, how the process worked, and connected me with other ACS and employees and volunteers. And he was someone who I could bounce things off when I needed to get over a hurdle. He was very helpful and stood by my side throughout the entire process, as he was invested in my cause and also had a why not approach. Numerous emails and phone calls were placed by family, friends, and colleagues. One legislator told me that he had never received as many phone calls and emails about any bill than he did with Michelle's Law. In the end, Michelle's Law went through every facet of the state legislative process before it was signed into law. After an 18-month journey, Michelle's Law was signed by New Hampshire Governor John Lynch on June 22, 2006. Sadly, Michelle never got to witness the event. She passed away 6 months after she graduated from Plymouth State University on November 10, 2005, at 7:20 a.m., with her dad and me by her side, the same way she came into the world. I'm sorry. She was just shy of her 23rd birthday. However, our work was not done. Michelle's Law was a state law, but we needed to enact a federal law for the policies that fell under ERISA. I certainly felt like David against Goliath. Michelle never gave up, and neither could I. The process of the bill becoming a law in Washington, D.C. takes longer than in New Hampshire, much longer, and usually takes 5 to 10 years and can be very costly. Someone told me that it would cost approximately $1 million. I looked at them and said, where am I going to get that kind of money? I can't afford $550 for COBRA, never mind $1 million to change a law. However, I knew that every day a family would have to walk in our shoes if we were not able to convince the government to change the law. In September of 2006, while attending the American Cancer Society Celebration on the Hill, I met with our Washington delegation in face-to-face meetings and asked for support for a federal version of Michelle's Law. I promised them that I would do anything I could to help get the law passed. By the time I left D.C., I knew I had the needed support from our elected officials. In January of 2007, Michelle's Law was born, and my thought was, now what do I do? I had two choices. I could sit back and let everyone else do the work and wait for it to get done, or I could get involved and help. I chose the latter. I was a teacher by day and the Michelle's Law advocate by afternoon and night. Over the course of time, the list of co-sponsors in the House and Senate grew to 35% each. On July 30th, 2008, my son Michael and I were present as Congressman Paul Hodes spoke eloquently about Michelle and Michelle's Law. We witnessed the House pass its version of the law by a voice vote, which was a thrilling moment, and I kept thinking, wow, we did it. Although all was moving along, we had fabulous momentum, but time was not on our side. If we wanted to get the law enacted, we had to get it passed during the current session of Congress, which was ending in less than 6 months. With the help of ACS CAN, many senators, including the late Senator Kennedy, who at the time was battling his own brain tumor, the bill was discharged from the Senate Help Committee. On September 25th, we got the word that no one would put a hold on Michelle's law, and it passed through the Senate by unanimous consent. Nearly 2 years to the day, I spoke with the New Hampshire delegation in D.C. The next stop, the President. On September 30th, 2008, Michelle's law was sent to President Bush. On October 9th, 2008, we completed the journey with his signature. Michelle's law is now the law of the land, and it allows seriously ill or injured college students who are covered under their parents' plan to take up to 12 months medical leave of absence and not risk losing their insurance. In 4 years, Michelle's law was enacted as a state and federal law. As I reflect, I never would have imagined that just over 9 years ago I would be where I am today. June 22, 2006, and October 9, 2008 are days of great pride, as they were days when Michelle's law was signed into the New Hampshire state law and U.S. federal law, respectively. My story may be a bit unique because of Michelle's type of cancer at such a young age. I never gave up advocating for Michelle's law, nor did ACS CAN, or the members of Congress and Senate, to become a federal law. It is my passion, and you know my motto, never mess with the mom who's passionate about a cause. The American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network is passionate about their causes too. They continue to advocate for Congress and Senate to support laws and policies to help people fight cancer and encourage them to make cancer a top national priority. Michelle will continue to touch and change the lives of so many, something most of us will never do after 80 years on this planet. Her legacy lives on through Michelle's law, the Michelle Morse Memorial Scholarship, which is a permanent endowment at Plymouth State University, a scholarship in her memory at her local high school where she graduated in 2000, a perennial garden at her home, and a granite bench that was given to Plymouth State. Although I'm not an expert in passing laws or organizing relay, I can give you some advice, things that I learned while being involved with ACS CAN. Be passionate about your cause. Take on that leadership role. Be a good student, no matter how old you are. Learn as much as you can and let your brain become that sponge. Find others who support your cause. Have a can-do attitude. Show your enthusiasm, as enthusiasm is contagious. Establish your team by starting local and then expanding. Be organized and prepared. Gather your facts and information because you have to become the expert. As my mother always said, be kind. You catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. Make sure that you continually to network. Set up face-to-face meetings. It's harder to say no to your face than via the phone, letter, or email. Expect the unexpected. Always prepared to plan a different strategy, plan B. And finally, never give up. By the way, remember that $1 million I told you that it would cost to change a law? I can tell you that at the very most it costs $1,000. Partnering with ACS CAN was critical. We were a force of grassroots power. Thank you for inviting me here today and giving me the honor of telling you my story about one mom, an ordinary citizen who became an advocate and continued to focus on why not change the law instead of why did this happen to my family. I am Ann Marie Morse, Michelle's mom. I dream big, hope big, and I relay big. Thank you.
This guy's kind of speechless. Wow. Thank you for everything that you've done. As a member of the collegiate team here and as a college student, thank you. And you are the epitome of what it is to fight back, and this is what we all strive to be. And I have a script, but I can't seem to process it.
Get this emotional either.
I know. What you've accomplished for people my age and for everybody younger than me that's going to come through is truly phenomenal. And like you said, you don't mess with mobs, and you've done that in what you've accomplished. And I just want to say thank you. And I want to say that, like Michelle, I was diagnosed in school. And so I know. And I've been there. And what you've done is incredible. I came through before Michelle's law was enacted into federal law, but I know what it's like to have to try and balance both, and so I can appreciate it so much, and I know the meaning of it for the youth that are coming up. What I don't understand is the difference between our stories, and that Michelle's ended, her life ended, her story absolutely has not, but mine got to continue, and I got to be healthy and continue on. And this is a picture of me and my best friends that I met in school, and I got to be a part of his wedding. Coming back from, I got to be a groomsman in my best friend's wedding that I met at college and after my experience with cancer, and what an amazing life I've had the opportunity to live, and I can only thank you for what you're doing. Because of this one law, I really believe that more people are going to have a story like mine. And I want to thank you for that. You've had such an amazing voice, and you continue Michelle's legacy. And I'm honored to be a part of that legacy too, because I get to share in that story. And we can only hope that more college students won't even have to worry about this. But it's great to know that if that comes along, people like you have protected them. And so we thank you for that. I can't give you much. What I can give you, and you may not appreciate that as much, but everybody here knows what this is. But it's a cape. Last night I told them that today they were going to hear a superhero for our cause, and I wore this in honor of you, so I want to make sure you wear it off. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ann Marie.
Thank you. You guys are the superheroes.
So thank you. The only other thing I can give you, Ann Marie, is to try and work this crowd on becoming members of ACS Can, so that's what I'm going to do now.